This might be a long one. Hi everybody, welcome back to Niall's Book Thing, where I'm Niall and I do book thing. Now today I wanted to kind of wrap up all the books that I've read so far this year, because there's really not that many. There's only 13. And then also I wanted to do my July TBR before it got like too late into July, and I mean, it's already pretty late into July, but I still just wanted to do it. I wanted to get it out ASAP. So, here we are. So, I'm going to start with my mid-year wrap-up, and I'll just give you an overview of the books that I read, my star ratings on them on Goodreads. My Goodreads will be in the description. Follow me on Goodreads. And just give you a little bit of a description of the book. The first book, if you watched my booktube newbies / mid-year freakout tag video, you will already know how much I love this book. The first book that I read this year is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I gave it 5 stars. It was great. The word that I use to describe it is immaculate. Also, chef's kiss. But anyway, the book is pretty much about 4 friends in New York, and it starts with them in college and it goes through them until they're like middle age, I guess. It's very much a character study book. You focus mostly on one of the men. His name is Jude. It's also about Jude's past and his mental health, and how it affects his relationships today and how he acts. It's a very depressing book, and there's a lot of really horrible things that happen in it, so like trigger warnings for a lot of stuff, you know, like there's sexual assault, there's pedophilia, there's self-harm, there's domestic abuse, there's a lot of things. So just know that if you like want to read it, if you're affected by those things, just know that they're there. But yeah, it's literary fiction, so it's very long. It can be very wordy. The writing style can be a little bit pretentious at times, but I really enjoyed the characters, and like they felt like real people, and I just really wanted to give Jude a hug the whole time. He's such a yes. Yeah. The second book that I read this year was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I gave this book 4 stars. The story follows Camille Preaker, a reporter, and she has to go back to her hometown to cover the story of the murder of one girl and the case of another missing girl. She has to go back to like her dark past with her family, who she does not associate with, and it's just a very atmospheric and gripping novel, and I really liked it a lot, even though I wouldn't say that the mystery of it took center stage. At least for me, I didn't feel that it did, but I still really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars. Really good book. The next book that I read was The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan. This is the 4th book in the Trials of Apollo series, and I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I think a lot of the reason that I enjoyed it was because I've kept up with the literary universe since I was in middle school, and I just really enjoy Riordan's writing style. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the quests that they go on. It's really great. And it was really nice seeing characters from some of the past series come back in this book, as well as the new characters that he's introduced. And then I can't really get too much into like the story of it without spoilers, because like it's the 4th book in a series, but it was really engaging. I liked it a lot. I liked seeing the characters. There were some things that I didn't exactly like about it, but I don't want to like get into spoilers, so I won't talk about that here. After that, I read A Stranger in the House by Charlotte Lapina. Gave it 2 stars. It's a domestic thriller, and it's about a woman. Her name is Karen. One night she's driving extremely fast down the road and she crashes and she loses her memory, and then at the same time she was driving away from the scene of a murder. The whole book is about her and her husband trying to figure out what happened and how she's connected to what happened, and I don't know. I didn't like the character motivations at all. I didn't like the characterization of several of the characters, and then just like, yeah, pretty much the characterization and the portrayal of the characters was just really bad. I didn't like it. And I just, yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't my thing. After that, I came back on a high because I read Children of Blood and Beau by Tomi Adeyemi. If you, again, watched my mid-year freakout tag video, you'll know that I really enjoyed this book a lot. It's a young adult fantasy, and it follows a girl named Zelly and her brother and a couple of other characters who are trying to bring back magic to their world because the ruler of their country pretty much has taken magic away, and they're trying to bring it back to the people. I enjoyed it a lot, gave it 5 stars. It was engaging, the world building was great, I loved the characters, Zane specifically, mwah. Yeah, anyway, so it was an exciting read. It reminded me in a way of the Percy Jackson series from when I first read it, because it was just immediately gripping and engaging, and I could not put it down. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Hey, sorry for the position change. My legs were getting tired. I didn't want to kneel on them anymore. I just got a stool to sit on. So, anyway, after Children of Blood and Bone, I read Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a really, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It's atmospheric. I enjoyed the relationship to an extent. There were parts of it that were kind of weird. There was definitely, I was reading it during school hours. You should not be reading it during school hours. There's some questionable things that happen in it. I thought it was a really beautiful story about the relationship between Elio and Oliver. Even though there were some parts of it that I didn't really enjoy, I, for the most part, appreciated what it was doing. It's literally just about Elio and Oliver coming together and having not necessarily an extremely romantic relationship, but they have a relationship of some sort. It was good. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. 4 stars. Yes. After that, again, I don't have this book on hand, but I read Alice Isn't Dead by Joseph Fink, I'm pretty sure. I'm lending this book to a friend, but it's based on a podcast by, again, Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's about a woman named... what's her name? It's about a woman named Keisha. So, it's about a woman named Keisha, and her wife Alice has been missing for several years, but then one day she sees Alice on the news and she decides to go looking for her by becoming a trucker and driving around the country. And it's just about a lot of the weird occurrences that happen while she's going around the country. It was enjoyable. I like the podcast a little better, I have to say, because there's more stuff in the podcast than there is in the book, but that's besides the point. I enjoyed the relationship between Alice and Keisha, and I really enjoyed the story of the book. It was strange and not something that I've really read before. I thought it was really cool and interesting in how weird it was. If you know the podcast Welcome to Night Vale, it's by the same, the podcast and the book are by the same people that do Welcome to Night Vale. And it's that same brand of weirdness, and I really enjoy it. Supernatural, funny, action-packed. It's pretty good. I would recommend the podcast over the book, though. After Alice Isn't Dead, I read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I gave it, again, 4 stars. And, oops, the book's fell. It's literary fiction. I would say I enjoyed it. It was definitely a slower pace than what I'm used to, but that's the same thing with A Little Life, so I was fine with it. I watched the movie first before I read the book. I will say that I enjoyed the book a little bit better than the movie just because it goes more in depth about Theo's relationships with the different people around him. The story follows a boy named Theo, and one day he goes to, I think it's the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. It's some museum of art in New York. He goes with his mother, and while they're there, they look at this painting called The Goldfinch, and then a bomb blows up, and it kills his mother. But while he is getting out, he grabs the painting of the goldfinch, and he keeps it with him. And it's just about him growing up into adulthood, keeping the secret of the painting that he has, and it's about the relationships that he develops over that time and just his life. I enjoyed it. 4 stars. Would recommend. So after that, I read a short story called Glyceride that's by Junji Ito. I'm actually wearing a shirt with it on it, but I know, like, in my last video I said that Uzumaki was my first Junji Ito book, which, like, technically it's my first Junji Ito novel, but it's not like my first Junji Ito experience. But anyway, so Glyceride follows this girl who, like, is really grossed out by grease, but there's grease, like, all over her house because her dad works some sort of restaurant downstairs, and it's really strange. I gave it 3 stars. It was really short. There was not really a point to it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I liked Junji Ito's art style. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about it. After that, I read Moving Target by Cristina Diaz Gonzalez, and this follows a girl named Cassie as she figures out that she has, like, she's the lineage of something where she can wield some spear. I didn't find it to be a very memorable book. I gave it 3 stars. It's a middle grade, so, like, I think it was just that, it's a middle grade, so I wasn't really that interested in it, and it was really short, and the characters, like, weren't extremely developed, but, I mean, like, it's a middle grade, so what are you gonna expect? I enjoyed it for, like, the little adventure that she went on, and, like, it was action-packed and stuff, but I don't think I'm gonna be continuing on with the series. After I read Moving Target, I read The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, the first book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. That was a reread for me. If you watched my last video, you know that. It follows Percy Jackson as he finds out that he is a demigod, and he goes on an adventure, and honestly, that's all you really need to know about it. My sentimental value attached to this series is, like, the highest. It's my favorite, one of my favorite series ever. Rick Riordan is, like, my favorite author. And rereading the book made me extremely, extremely happy. Love the characters, love getting reintroduced to the world. Yeah, it's... We stand! The last book that I've read this year has been, I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. It's a literary thriller. I haven't given it a rating yet because it's very confusing, and I don't think that I fully grasp what happened in it yet. I might have to, like, reread it to fully get it, but I will say that I enjoyed it. Like, it's not going to be like a 1 or 2 star, it's going to be at least a 3 star. It follows this girl as she visits her boyfriend's parents for the first time, and things are just really weird. It's a slow burn, and it makes you uncomfortable, and it, like, builds with suspense. And you never really know what's going on in it, or exactly why things are as weird as they are, and then the end is just a complete, just, what the hell is going on here? I think I most of the way understand what happened in it, but, like, I have to reread it. It's definitely was pretty disturbing, especially mostly just the end was a little bit disturbing. But yeah, it's also going to be a Netflix series, so or movie. It's going to be a Netflix movie. It's coming out this year. I'm definitely going to watch it because I think that'll help further my understanding of it. It's not out yet though, so I can't really do it yet. But good book. At least a 3 star. Maybe, like, at least a 4 star. I really kind of enjoyed it. That's the end of my little wrap up for the year, and now I'm going to go on to my July TBR, because I feel like you deserve to know. And part of this is going to be my reading rush TBR, because, like, I was not going to be able to read 7 books in a week, so I shortened it and combined some of the prompts together to make it into a 3-book TBR. So for the reading rush, I should only be reading 3 books. Let's get into it! The first book on my July TBR is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. If you watched my last video, again, I know I keep referencing it, but, like, a lot of the things that happened in this video pertain to my last video. Anyway, if you watch this, you know I want to read it, like, by the end of the year, but, like, I've already started reading it. It's a very long book. It's a thick boy. I think I'll be able to finish it in July as long as I, like, put my mind to it and focus mostly on it. It's weird. I heard it described as a story and a story and a story, and I was like, no, it can't be that bad. But it is. It's extremely strange, but, like, the main story focuses on a man and his family when they move into a house, and the house is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And that's pretty much all that I know about it so far.
Ew, why did I say far like that?
Yeah, but I'm really interested in it because people say that it's like really trippy and crazy, and like I can see that's trippy and crazy because the inside is like not normal. There's like hella long footnotes. There's like, it's structured extremely weirdly. There's some pages that are mostly blank and have like one word on them, and then at the end there's like a bunch of pictures. There's like 2 different indexes. I'm gonna get through it, but it might be a little bit. I also want to read Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan because now that I've read The Lightning Thief, or reread The Lightning Thief, I kind of want to reread the whole Percy Jackson and Olympian series, and then maybe after that the Heroes of Olympus series, and then maybe after that Trials of Apollo again, even though I read that pretty recently, but whatever. So yeah, Sea of Monsters, second book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It follows Percy and Annabeth Grover as they go on another adventure into the ocean. Yeah, that's a pretty good description without many spoilers. So, I already know that I'm gonna love that because I love the series as a whole, sentimental value, all that jazz. Yeah. So the next book on my TBR, I don't have it physically. It's Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead, I'm pretty sure. It's a horror novel it's like a zombie horror book that takes place in New York. I don't really know that much about it other than that, but it's the July book for Books and Lala's Literally Dead Book Club, which I haven't kept up with the book club at all, but I hope to start now. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I know about it. I like the cover though, it's like trippy, but I can get it on Libby for free through my library, so I'm planning on doing that pretty soon. The next 3 books are my Reading Rush TBR books, so let me look up the prompts for this so I can tell you like verbatim what they are for. So if you don't know what the Reading Rush is, it's a yearly readathon that happens in July. I think it's every July, and it's hosted by Ariel Bissett and her friend Raylene. And pretty much it's just a week where you're supposed to read as much as you can. Yeah, so then the prompts this year are: read a book with a cover that matches the color of your birthstone, read a book that starts with the word the, read a book inspired by a movie you've already seen, read the first book you touch, read a book completely outside of your house, read a book in a genre that you've always wanted to read more of, and read a book that takes place on a different continent. The first book on my Reading Rush TBR is The Help by Catherine Stockett, and this is for the prompts for the book that starts with the, and for a book for a movie that you've already seen. I honestly very, very vaguely remember what the movie is about. I know it's about house workers in like the 60s and like race relations and all that stuff, but other than that I don't really know that much about it. So it follows Aibileen Clark, who is a black maid in Jackson, Mississippi in 1962, and she's a maid for a white family, and it's about like, I don't know. Other than that, I really don't know. I'm excited to read it because I remember liking the movie, but even though I barely remember what the movie's about, but yeah. So the second book that I plan on reading is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. The challenges this book covers are books on another continent because it's set in Japan, a book that has the color of your birthstone. My birthstone is ruby, and like before you clock me for barely having red on the cover, I emailed them and asked them how much of the color had to be on the cover, and they said as long as it's featured on the cover, it's fine. And red is featured on this cover. So, period, you have no right to tell me anything. Again, I really don't know much about what this is about, but I know it's a Junji Ito book. It's body horror. Very excited. It's a manga, which I also have not read much manga, so this could also qualify for books in a genre that you haven't read that much of, but you want to. So, like, yeah. Oh well. All I know is that it's about spirals that start to plague this small town in Japan, and gross, weird things start happening. I'm excited for it. I love horror things. This is my first Junji Ito novel. Blessed. The last book on my Reading Rush TBR is Full Dark, No Stars by Stephen King. This book will cover books in a genre that you haven't read much of and you want to. because it's a short story collection and I haven't read any short story collections, but I want to. It also covers The First Book You Touch because I threw this book in along with some other books like nonfiction books because I don't read much nonfiction and I want to read more nonfiction. Anyway, I threw this like in the comfort of my bed and shook it around and closed my eyes and then let it tumble out onto my bed, and then I just reached and touched one, and this is the one that I touched. So, this one. This is a short story collection by Stephen King. It has a couple of stories in it. Let me see which ones there are. The 4 stories that it has in it are 1922, Big Driver, Fair Extension, and A Good Marriage. And this will be my first Stephen King novel because I want to read more I want to start reading Stephen King. So Full Dark and Stars. Also, any 3 of those books I'm going to read outside to cover the Read a Book Fully Outside challenge. And they did say that you can overlap different challenges with the same book, so I am completely fine and I'll be able to get all the challenges done. And yeah, so you are not allowed to clock me for any of this. Anyways, so that is my July TBR along with my wrap up for the first half of the year. From now on, I'm just gonna do wrap ups monthly because that makes more sense, but since I didn't read that many books in the first half of the year, I just decided to do them all in this video. Also, I'm not going to be uploading videos this frequently. I just felt that I should get this out as soon as possible because, like, I don't want it to be the middle of July, or it already basically is the middle of July, but I don't want it to be like the end of July and then not have a TBR for the month. Does that make sense? Yeah, so anyways, thank you for watching. You can find links to my Twitter and my Goodreads in the description, and I hope that you all have a great morning, a great evening, a great night, a great whatever it is, wherever you are, and have a good one. Bye!